Evening, ladies and germs. Welcome to another exciting episode of Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth, Prosecutor's Path, episode 25, beta. Last time, we discovered that what dropped down the well was none other than Knightley's dead body. This time, we're going to see what that causes us to think of next. Let's find out. Here we go.
Mr. Knightley's body was used as the weight?
Yes, the weights were replaced with Knightley's body. Mr. Keyes used the device to launch himself off the stage. When the rope that was tied to him was undone and let go, both the body and the rope dropped down the well. The rope wasn't used to tie up Knightley. It was used to suspend him inside the well. That also explains why the other weights were hidden.
So that no one would find out that the weights were replaced with the body.
Yes, the killer was the one who hid those weights. But Miles, wasn't Knightley Boy stabbed in the neck with the murder weapon? If he was suspended in the well, wouldn't there be blood at the bottom of the well? The killer was also aware of that. That's why they used this item. Which item did the killer use in order to leave no traces of blood behind?
Take that!
The sheet we found near the body. It was used to wrap up the body. I see. It looks like all the pieces are starting to come together, eh?
But this means that the body definitely came from the well. If that's the case, wouldn't that mean Simon is the killer?
Oh, whoops. Fat-fingered the organizer key. No, that's not necessarily the case.
Huh? But yesterday Judge Courtney said...
If Mr. Keyes was the killer, would he have needed to set up such an elaborate device?
I guess you have a point.
Mr. Keyes was only responsible for dropping the body during the show. In other words, it doesn't matter where the real killer was or what they were doing during the show. Until now, this placed the doubt on the people who did not watch the animal show.
It's true. We also suspected Mr. Dogan.
The killer's true intent was to make us think that the murder occurred during the show. In other words, they used the device in the well to create a fake alibi. Miss Berry, do you know when this device on the well was set up?
Let me think. The day before the show, I think it was at night. We all started preparing at 9 p.m. We finished at around midnight.
The killer replaced the weights with the dead body afterward. Okay. Simon's device data updated in my organizer. Did Dogan know about the device? No, even if he knew about the device, it wouldn't be possible for him to use it. You can't teach a dog to suspend a body in a well. In other words, Dogan is not the killer. Alright. What's going on in Logic Town? Oh. Okay. So maybe they used the apple crate to move the body over to the well. This one might lose me some confidence, health, whatever. Nope, never mind, just kidding. This cart was moved the night before the show. The body was also switched the night before the show.
I don't think it was just a coincidence.
Keeping that in mind, the question now becomes, why was the cart moved? The cart used to be in front of that door. I can think of one reason why.
Somebody opened that door. All right, let's hurry up and...
The door is locked.
Let's ask a guard. Hey, Mr. Guard!
That was convenient.
Yes, what is it?
That was fast. You there, where's the key to this door?
The warden's in charge of it. I'll get it from her right away.
The warden is in charge of the keys here. Without the warden's permission, this door can't be opened.
Thank you very much.
Ooh. It's a circuit breaker panel. This must be the breaker room.
On the night before the show, somebody came into this room. I wonder why they would come here.
I don't think anyone would confuse the breaker room with the break room. It was definitely to operate the circuit breakers.
So someone came here to shut off the power to something?
Was there anything that had its power shut off? The camera!
Oh shit.
What could have had its power shut off by the breaker? The camera! I guess probably the security footage. I want to see if I had a camera in my evidence. The security camera footage had a 3-hour gap.
Ah, I see. The circuit breaker for the security camera was tripped.
It's highly possible.
Was this the killer's handiwork?
With the camera down, it'd be easier to move about. The killer would have a major advantage.
I knew it.
If that's the case, the killer was the person who tripped the breaker. The person in charge of the key to the breaker room is... It couldn't be. Circuit breaker data jotted down in my organizer.
Deactivating the recreation.
Alright. Yeah.
I'm first to the scene, as always.
Good morning, Mr. DeBest.
What? You? How did you get here before me? Greetings, Prosecutor Edgeworth. I see you have arrived early.
Or maybe it is you who are late, Judge Courtney.
I have many matters which require my attention. I have no time to waste. Unlike a certain prosecutor who was taken off the case. Oh, my apologies. I had forgotten that you were assisting the defense attorney. An assistant can never be the best. You've fallen like the rest.
You just say whatever you like, don't you?
Let us begin our examination of the courtyard, Sebastian.
All right! I'll call the men over. That will be unnecessary.
What?
We have already finished investigation of the courtyard. You've been bested.
Bested? Me?
Judge Courtney. Your reasoning from yesterday. Watch me shatter it to pieces.
I would advise you to choose your words more carefully. Have you forgotten the fate of your badge rests in my hands?
I have had enough of such coercion. Can't you think of some other way to threaten me that does not involve my badge?
Despite my repeated warnings, you show no signs of reflection. It seems I must remind you once more. The Prosecutorial Investigation Committee can't leave someone such as yourself unchecked.
Neither the fate of my badge nor the actions of the committee will impede my progress. Proving Mr. Keyes' innocence, that is all that concerns me.
Your words are like those of a defense attorney. If you are willing to go that far, then I will show no leniency. In the name of the goddess of law, I shall turn your words against you. And at that moment, you will forfeit the title of prosecutor. You shall regret this.
All right.
I shared my reasoning with you the day before. Since Mr. Elbert did not see the body when he passed through the tunnel, it could only have been dropped down the well during the show. The only one who could have performed such an act is the suspect.
Naturally, you have evidence to support your reasoning.
Of course she does! Who do you think she is? Earlier, I received the official autopsy report.
Babysitting that kid must be difficult.
The time of death was the night before the body was discovered. In other words, the day before the show. The cause of death remains unchanged. A stab wound 4 inches deep. Autopsy report updated in your organizer. Simon Keyes was not present on the stage for a period of 15 minutes. There was sufficient time for him to drop the body down the well.
She has not investigated the courtyard yet. That means... It seems there is a hole in your argument.
You seem quite confident. Can you present evidence to support your claim?
Of course I can, and I will. Alright.
I shared my reasoning with you the day before. Since Mr. Elbert did not see the body when he passed through the bear, it could only have been dropped down the well during the show.
The only one who could have performed such an act is the suspect. Okay, so obviously I know, how I want to disprove her testimony, or, what line of reasoning I want to use, but what evidence do I present where? Maybe this? Nope. About to get Phoenix righted. Judge Courtney, could you take a look at this piece of evidence?
I'm afraid I cannot accept that piece of evidence. I do not believe it has any relation to my testimony.
No! As I expected, she's nothing like Mr. DeBest. However, I won't back down so easily. Okay. Maybe here? There we go. Okay, I'll stop. Unfortunately for you, Judge Courtney, your argument doesn't hold any water. Just like the well! Oh boy. There was a device. There was a device set. Edgeworth, the pun master. There was a device set up around the well here.
What is this device of which you speak?
Are you aware of the stunt in which Mr. Keyes is blown... Of course she is. She told him about it. In which Mr. Keyes is blown away by the elephant during the show.
I have heard of it. It would have been right before he exits the stage.
He tied one end of a length of rope to himself, and the other end to a set of weights. He was able to perform the stunt by dropping these weights down the well.
Wouldn't he have spent the whole play suspended up in the air?
That's why he had a stopper attached to the weighted end. The stopper was removed by pulling another rope. Around the well, we found evidence that the weights were switched with the victim's body. This was done by the real killer in order to shift suspicion away from them. Judging from the time of death, the murder was carried out in the early morning of the show. The true criminal had until the time the show started to set up the device.
But didn't Simon Keyes make that thing? And since he was also the one who used it, he is the best suspect. Don't you agree?
If Mr. Keyes were the murderer, he would not have needed to do that. Miss Berry.
Yes?
Was there anyone else who knew of the device he set up?
Well, let me see. Since we had to get everything about our show approved by the people here at the prison, I'd say there were others who knew about it.
And there you have it.
I see. You have indeed performed a thorough investigation, which is why I am even further perplexed. Why do you not use your efforts for justice? My actions are not just.
Who made that decision?
You cannot understand even that, even now. Providing support to a defense attorney despite being a prosecutor. It is quite unnatural. This goes against the rules.
I am merely choosing to do what I think is right at this particular time. I travel down the road I have chosen. Your comprehension does not matter in the least. However, if anyone intends to interfere, I will show no mercy.
Perhaps this is a calling from the goddess of law. If you intend to rebel against her divine will, I will have no choice but to hand down my verdict. Pay heed to my words. I have one more reason to suspect Simon Keyes of murder. If the body came from the courtyard, how was Mr. Knightley brought here from the detention center? Only Simon Keyes could have provided such an opportunity. Because of this fact, I find it most difficult to suspect any other party of this crime. While Simon Keyes was moving supplies for the show, he visited Mr. Knightley's cell. Does that not strike you as odd? Why else would he have brought a large covered cage with him? Oh, that does seem pretty suspicious.
Mr. Keyes was merely that kind of person. It is entirely possible that he carelessly brought it there.
If that is possible, then it is also possible that he was assisting in the escape. Am I wrong?
I suppose I must refute her theory with evidence. Yep, that's what you do every time.
If the body came from the courtyard...
Oh, right. We already did this part. So, well, man, in Phoenix Wright 2, you could present, like, character profiles, and this is where I would present the warden. But since I can't do that, I'm gonna have to do it another way. Alright. Are you certain that he was the only person who had the opportunity?
Have you forgotten? This is a prison. Due to the constant supervision, it would be impossible to do anything unusual.
Then wouldn't it be the same for Mr. Keyes?
The warden has shown favor to the Berry Big Circus. Simon Keyes is a circus member, Miss Berry's apprentice no less. It could only have been him. He was able to move about freely within the facility.
It seems that you forgot to mention that.
The word forget does not exist in my dictionary.
Then it would be prudent for you to add this to your argument. Mr. Keyes may have been the only person who could move around freely in the prison. But on the day of the murder, there was a gap in time missing from the surveillance records. During that time, anyone could have done as they pleased. Do I have proof of this gap in the surveillance records? Well, yes. We talked about it at length. Here is the evidence. Oh, for fuck's sake. I have proof of the...
What do you think, Sebastian?
Let me think here. Since all humans have 2 legs, anyone could have walked around the place.
However, to walk around a prison freely is...
not gonna be that easy. Even DeBest pointed out my mistake. Wahaha! Seems you learn quickly, Edgeworth. Who are you calling Edgeworth? Her claim is based on the prison surveillance system. I just need to present evidence that will make it seem less reliable. Gee, like the evidence I presented? Let me just go back. Okay, whoops. Hold it! Could we do that again? You know, could we talk about, you know, we really don't have to go through this whole... Could we please just get to the part where okay, here we go. So I think I probably just present the security footage. Let's see. Yep. Mr. Keys wasn't the only one who had the opportunity.
Who else could have had the opportunity?
The timestamp on the security camera is off by 3 hours. This means there was a 3-hour gap in time. During that time, anyone could have done it.
If that were the case, then the murderer would have created the gap in time intentionally. It would not have been a simple camera failure. Are you saying that is possible?
Yes. It's possible if you had access to this. Whatever. In this courtyard we found the circuit breaker for the security camera. And it was possible to access the breaker room both before and after the murder.
But what? Unfortunately, it appears that you have fallen short of your intentions. Mr. Edgeworth hasn't fallen short of anything. So, can you explain how the murderer obtained the key to the breaker room?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was locked, wasn't it? The warden hangs onto the key, right?
The breaker room has great importance even in a prison. There is no one who would be able to obtain the key so easily.
Well, I can think of someone.
What did you say?
This person, the murderer, was able to get the key. They didn't even need to steal it.
There can't be anyone like that! Besides, the breaker to the electrified fence is in that room too!
Only one person could have done this. I didn't want to believe it myself, but I trust that my logic is sound. The person who used the key to enter the breaker room is... Where is she? There she is. The murderer is... Warden Roland.
Oh my, what an energetic little puppy.
That's because this dog is extremely fond of sweets. It seems to detect a sweet scent on you.
Oh heavens no, I'm not even wearing perfume or anything of the sort.
What the dog detects is the sweet scent of death.
How poetic. However, does that not imply that I committed the murder?
That's what I think.
What? The warden is the murderer? Mr. Edgeworth, are you serious about your statement?
How amusing. The very thought of a warden committing a murder. It sounds like something out of a mystery novel.
Precisely. Your reasoning is in contempt.
Nothing of the sort. I did not want to believe it myself, but, based on the evidence, I have no choice but to believe it. This evidence proves that Warden Roland is the murderer. Oh, shit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because of the sweet scent? The smell gave you away. Oh, okay, good. As you can plainly see, someone has taken notice.
This police dog.
He tracked a sweet smell that came from the body. And right now, he is telling us that the same scent is also on Warden Roland.
You're a cruel one to accuse me of murder based on something like that.
Right, Justine, darling? It appears that Judge Courtney has reached the same conclusion as I have.
Mr. Edgeworth, this couldn't have been just a coincidence, could it?
The key to the breaker room and the same scent on the body. If it were only one, it could have been seen as such.
It appears we have reached a conclusion. We should now listen to what the warden has to say.
Indeed. Until we do, we cannot close this case.
Oh my goodness, everyone with such scary faces. So I'm the only one who could have been the murderer? That just cannot be. I heard all about the case from Justine Darling here. Had I committed the murder, it would have taken place inside the holding cell. But I couldn't have moved the body. I never went into the prison. I was caught up in my work. Up until the show, I was stuck in my office. Check up on it if you like. You'll find there's no record of me entering the prison. I don't know what reasoning you had, but I can say for sure, I cannot be the killer.
But mis'll bark at you, pal. You gotta be the culprit.
Oh heavens, it's not possible. I already told you I never went to the prison. If you think I'm lying, why don't you check the records?
She wants us to check the records. She does seem confident. For now, all we can do is listen to her and try to draw out more information.
I do hope you understand, Mr. Edgeworth.
Okay. From Judge Courtney, are you two close?
As close as fish and water. Are you jealous?
Jealous?
On the first day of the investigation, she filled us in on the situation. In exchange for our cooperation, she explained the details of the case to us. How could you say that? You're so mean, Justine Darling. The truth is the truth. I believe it should be told as such.
For some reason, those two seem kind of scary.
Had I committed the murder, it would have taken place inside the holding cell.
The murder occurred inside the cell. How can you be so certain about that?
Well, everywhere else would have been under surveillance, right? And the victim's blood was found there too.
Oh, whoops. That blood was actually from when he was struck by Albert, but I don't think it's necessary to inform her of this fact. That doesn't mean it's proven. Do you know that?
But I see no contradictions in assuming the crime scene was at the detention center. But I couldn't have moved the body. I never went into the prison.
You never went into the prison? Do you have proof of this?
My, can't you wait for me to finish? I was caught up in my work. Up until the show, I was stuck in my office.
You were in your office the whole time? Nothing strange happened?
No, nothing at all.
Were you looking for something?
I'm not too good at tidying up. I always forget where I put everything. The other day, I even lost track of an important piece of evidence.
How could you have made such a grave error?
If someone were to take something from me, I wouldn't even notice it the entire year.
I guess it will be hard to attack with the key to the breaker room.
On the day of the incident, I was working in my office and searching for lost items. In other words, I couldn't have gone to the prison, even if I'd wanted to. Check up on it if you like. You'll find there's no record of me entering the prison.
You did not enter the prison from the entrance. But what if there was another route?
Oh my. Are you suggesting something like a secret passage? I don't know if anything like that exists.
It is my firm belief you did possess an alternate route. That route was neither the entrance nor a secret passage. The route you used was from here. Oh, okay.
The barbed wire fence?
you would have moved Knightley to your office first. This office leads directly to the garden side of the courtyard. If you had moved through here and past the barbed wire fence, you would have arrived at the prison without passing through the entrance or tunnel.
I wonder what Mr. Edgeworth is saying. Haven't you noticed? There's a high voltage current running through the fence.
Yeah! Obviously she couldn't have passed through it like that. The current to the fence could be switched off at the breaker room. And you were the only one who had the key, Warden Roland.
Most amusing. However, the breaker room is located on the prison side of the courtyard. How would the warden have accessed it from the detention center? Ah, quite right. Gotcha there, Mr. Edgeworth.
That's...
If there is no record of her passing through the prison entrance,
it would not have been possible for her to turn off the fence's breaker. But Warden Roland was the only one who had access. Don't let this faze you, Miles. But I don't have a solution for this. She'll get away. Now, Uncle Ray never said, don't think, you know. It's just not good to be so stubborn about it. That's all. But no matter how you think about it, Warden Roland couldn't have done this alone.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, if you have failed to come up with a new
I am not amused, interrupting my judgment only to be silent. Without thinking, I just blurted out objection. I have to answer. I won't let this end here. My reasoning is not over yet.
So, how did she use the breaker without leaving the detention center?
It's perfectly possible with this method. What made it possible to turn off the breaker? Well, I guess she would have had to have an accomplice. It was indeed impossible for one person, but what if there were two? Exactly! Just what I expected from you, Miles. Yes, you had an accomplice on the prison side.
Enough. I am disappointed in you, Prosecutor Edgeworth.
What's that, pal? You making fun of Mr. Edgeworth?
The inmates at this prison all wear bracelets.
But, what's his fucking name? Sawits is broken.
If they try to go where they please, they'll set off the alarm. Ah! So you've noticed. This is a prison, after all. Not only the prisoners, but the guards, too, are under constant scrutiny.
So why didn't anyone notice Elbird?
The only ones allowed to move around freely are the animals. And they certainly could not have used the breaker.
But it's still possible that a person did it.
Excluding the inmates and the guards, just what kind of person would you say it was?
We can't exclude the inmates and guards just yet. There was only one person, one whose movement was not restricted. This evidence shows that there was someone in the prison who could move around freely. So I guess I must still have his bracelet? Okay, yeah.
That is, it looks like the bracelet worn by the prisoners.
This belongs to a certain model inmate, and it's broken.
What?
Just who on earth does this belong to? Frank saw it, the warden's favorite inmate. Don't you think it's strange? He managed to keep this hidden while he moved around freely in his daily prison life. Golly, when you think about it, it shouldn't be possible. I'd hazard a guess that this was because he was a special case. Just like Sirhan Dogan in the special cell. The prosecutor's statement is mere conjecture. You could find out by simply asking Sorit himself. It is my firm belief that Mr. Sorit and Warden Roland were partners in crime. Due to their collaboration, another route surfaces. The real route by which Knightley's body was moved to the prison. There were two obstacles that needed to be dealt with. The security camera in front of Knightley's cell, and the electric fence in the courtyard. Both these problems could have been solved with a single stroke, by having Sorit switch off the breakers in the breaker room. Mr. Edgeworth, could you wait one moment? Do you still intend to deny it, Warden Roland? I give in. I confess. Warden Roland, no, this cannot be. Yes, it's just as he says. Frank saw it and I were partners in crime. No way! You did it, Mr. Edgeworth! Well done, Miles. At last we have the real culprit cornered. Like Mr. Edgeworth said, Frankie operated the breaker. But we were not responsible for Knightley's murder. What? Warden Roland, whatever do you mean? Judge Courtney, would the Goddess of Law hear my confession? The Goddess of Law is merciful. She will absolve you. I was being threatened. That's why I had no choice but to do as I was told. So, who was threatening you? Sirhan Dogan, that assassin. Dogan? It's been going on since that man came to the prison. I will never forget that day. When we were both alone, he suddenly said to me, I have many dogs outside the prison. Dogs? Loyal dogs who obey my every command. I soon realized that what Dogan referred to were not really dogs, but his human henchmen. And that's not all he said. You'd better watch how you treat me, if you don't want you and your family to become dog food. I had no choice. I gave him the special cell. I gave him anything he desired. Anything he desired? You don't mean the supplier? That's right. Anything he ordered, I would deliver to him. An underground dealership. I was the one who won over Frankie. It was simple. I just offered him special privileges within the prison. And these underground dealings... Once a week, in the middle of the night, Frankie would shut off 2 of the breakers, so I could move from my office to the courtyard without being seen by the security camera. I would go past the fence and drop the goods down the well near the prison. And then I'd sprinkle this perfume over it. So that's the true identity of the sweet scent. The scent of perfume was a signal for Dogan's dog. After picking up the scent, it would carry the goods to Dogan. Of course, this had to be done while Elbird was away from his cell. I'm surprised he never found out about it, pal. We have a strict timetable here at the prison. Mealtime, exercise time. It's easy to know when he's away from his cell. And since little Rocky is afraid of Dogan's dog, I didn't have to worry about him making noise. So, having full knowledge of the prison's inner workings, she made the deliveries herself. This would have ensured there were no slip-ups. Frankie would turn the breakers back on in the early morning, and the delivery was complete. I then modified the timestamp on the security camera. You have told us a great deal. The Goddess of Law accepts your penitent The Goddess of Law accepts your penitent confession. As the warden of the prison, how could I have done such a foolish thing?
The day Knightley was killed was also a delivery day. It seems Frankie was working the breakers as usual. But that day I had nothing to send, so I did not go to the courtyard at all. The secret of the supply system. So the Warden Roland was... The police have been searching for Dogan's henchmen for ages. I've also been helping them, but... I've been interrogating him personally in my office. But, no matter how much evidence we have on him, we can't get a single word out of him. So the reason you kept on interrogating him? Yes, it was to find his henchmen. I borrowed all the evidence from the police and carried out the interrogation myself. I kept an eye on all his actions and examined all the mail. Mail, like his correspondence' chest letters. But I could never uncover the true identity of his henchmen. This fear, it's something you could never understand. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you were listening, right? I'd say this confession clears the warden of all suspicion. Is it really necessary to press her further than this?
Is it necessary to press her further? You know what? I think the answer is no. Because I think that the killer is someone else. Indeed, there is no need to question Warden Roland any further.
Mr. Edgeworth, are you just gonna let the warden get away like that? She's the killer, right?
It's not like you to overlook a culprit in plain sight, sir. Right. Okay, never mind. There is still some suspicion surrounding the warden. We must press her further. Well, darn, I liked my theory. Judge Courtney, my questioning isn't over yet. I'm sure the Goddess of Law isn't satisfied yet either.
You mean to badger this woman further?
Even if she was threatened by Dogan, this does not prove she was not the culprit in this case. She was able to use the supply route to transport Knightley's body.
Do you have any evidence to support this?
My headcanon now is that Courtney and the warden were like, you know, hanging out in an intimate way, and that's why she's so invested in her defense. We're just gonna go with that. The body gave off a sweet scent. The scent of perfume that was used to signify a delivery. Can you explain this fact?
Oh, of course. Since I have made so many deliveries, the scent would have lingered around the well. When the body was moved through the well, the scent would have transferred with it. Mr. Elbert also testified to this fact.
That's it. For some reason, that well gave off a nice scent.
A nice scent?
I don't know what it was, but it smelled sweet like candy.
The lingering scent in the well would, of course, be picked up by anything passing through. The defense rests, I see. In that case, court is adjourned. Mr. Edgeworth, isn't there anything we can do?
What should I do? Is this as far as I can go?
Is it over already? Yes, Sebastian, it is. And now, court is officially adjourned. Who was that?
Oh. It's not nice of you to adjourn things just like that, Courtney Pie. Mr. Shields.
Are you objecting to the court adjourning?
Of course not. I ain't got no objection or anything like that. Go ahead and adjourn court. Do whatever you like.
Hey, what are you doing, Mr. Shields?
Whoa there. Calm down, Kay. Who wants some chocolate?
Is this a joke?
You'll have to excuse me. I just have one tiny request to make. As Simon Keyes' attorney.
That's right. You're the defense attorney in charge of the case, aren't you?
Exactly. Did you all forget? That's so mean.
But you just left everything to Mr. Edgeworth and didn't do anything at all.
Yes, that's right. That's why. I thought I'd do my job a bit.
Do your job? That hardly sounds like you at all.
It's to prepare for the trial. I'd like to ask the warden a few questions.
Surely you jest. What more would you expect to hear from her?
Well, Miss Warden, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the culprit.
My thoughts?
Uncle Ray believes that Simon is not the culprit. It seems that Miss Warden also suspects someone other than Simon. I'd like to hear you out.
Mr. Edgeworth, what's Mr. Shields up to?
He's trying to lure Warden Rowland into testifying.
Why was the supply route used to transport the body?
I'd say it was to pin the crime on Dogan.
Ah, I see.
If he committed a murder here, he would be transferred to another prison, one with tighter security.
And that would get rid of the troublemaker.
Exactly. She wouldn't pass up a chance like that.
Hey, hold on a sec. A culprit besides Simon? What do you mean? Simon was the one I was supposed to prosecute.
Exactly. So wouldn't it be better if the best also listened to what she had to say?
Amazing, Mr. Shields. You managed to drag Mr. DeBest into this too. Warden Rowland. Warden Rowland, is this acceptable?
Oh, you. It's fine, it's fine. You understand a woman's heart. Thank you, mademoiselle.
Actually, I've thought this over. I'd like to tell you my thoughts. You'll let me speak, won't you, Justine, darling? Of course. You may speak. Mr. Shields, awesome!
Phew, that was a close shave. Thank you, Mr. Shields. No, I'm still leaving the rest to you. Remember what I said? A defense attorney never gives up. The fate of our client rests on our shoulders, after all. It'd be uncool if Uncle Ray didn't put that into practice. Now then, Miles, it's your turn to show you'll never give up. Right.
Well then, will you listen to my story?
Sadly, her story is going to have to wait until next time because we're almost up to the 50-minute mark. I got a little into this case. But thanks so much for watching, everybody. Next time, we're going to try to pin Warden Rowland down once and for all. But, I mean, not in like a lewd way. Just like, we're going to pin her down with her testimony. We're not going to, pin down... You know what I mean. Bye.